All right. Well, thank you for joining us. Today we're going to hear from a couple different speakers. And ladies, if you could just introduce yourselves and let everybody know what you do, that would be great. And yeah, you can certainly allow time for questions. But Kayla, I will turn it over to you and you can start.
All right, well, thank you very much, Mandy. My name is Kayla Stastny. I'm with the Behavioral Health Division as part of the Department of Health and Human Services. And a few weeks ago, I emailed Mandy and said, can I have a few minutes of your time? And luckily she squeezed me in and I'm very grateful for that. We have, I guess I should start with, I've been here before to talk about our at-risk modules for Cognito for school staff at the elementary, middle, and high school level. And through some of our partnerships with Be Hero, we had some students actually who were sources of strength advisors come and say, what about us? We feel like we could really benefit from something like that. And so from that, we kind of did some work behind the scenes and we are able to now offer all 6th through 12th grade students in North Dakota Cognito access. And so I'm just going to try to share a quick PowerPoint to just kind of show you a little bit about what we have going on. And see if I can start this. And so what we are calling it is our friend-to-friend simulation. And there are 5 modules within that little suite, as we call it. And so if you are familiar with at-risk modules for Cognito for staff, it's very similar for students. It's virtual training, it's evidence-based. Hopefully it's pretty seamless for you. Cognito has developed some kind of accompaniments in various ways, shapes, or forms that you can do some extension activities in, small group, whole class, different things like that. And there is a survey that has built in that each student at the beginning of each module, they do a pre-survey and they do the post-survey. And if that's something, that you're thinking of for maybe a grade or your school, our partners at Cognito can actually pull that data for you so you can kind of see how students felt from before taking the module, if they felt better equipped after. Everything is anonymous, but they are able to pull by school or district. And so we have, like I said, 5 modules. We have emotional and mental wellness, safe and caring schools, a substance use one, bullying prevention, and resiliency and growth. The bullying prevention is their newest. And I believe that one in the resiliency and growth kind of presents more as a graphic novel than the typical Cognito simulation with some different tabs. But each of the 5, again, for 6th through 12th grade students in North Dakota, if you have a 6th grader taking it and then they take it 2 years later, it's going to be the same module, but it's so interactive that each experience is going to be different. So similar to the Cognito at-risk modules, you have that talk button where you get to kind of choose your own adventure, so to speak, in your conversations with your peers. You can undo, you can kind of get that coaching feedback, and you can also see that engagement meter to see, how that peer is responding to what you are talking about and how you are saying it. So we have, some different skills. Most of the modules take about 30 minutes, but they can take longer depending on how much the student is engaging with it. If they're trying to back up and try some different paths with their conversations, it can take longer. There is an option for it to read to them. So if you have maybe some students that are not reading at grade level, there is that option within the modules. And similar to the staff at-risk modules, you can kind of start and stop. And so if you have 25 minutes and they don't finish it, they can close out and it'll bring them right back into where they left off. So they don't have to kind of go in and figure it out and deal with that. So to access the friend simulations, it's the exact same as those staff modules. You're going to go to that northdakota.cognito.com. They're going to choose their school. They're going to put in their email. And and then they'll kind of create a password and they'll select their grade. Cognito does have a privacy policy that we're going to put up on the website, but essentially they do not store the emails. The emails are only kind of for login purposes. They have some different algorithms that I don't understand to make sure that that is all confidential. And if you kind of would like, they are also willing to roster students. And so if you send them a spreadsheet of every student, they'll create a login for you with a generic password for everyone. So then you would be able to kind of skip this beginning step. Once they get logged in, they can choose which of the modules they want to complete and push launch. And then they'll take that pre-survey that I had mentioned. And so I just kind of wanted to share the website part of it. We did offer some webinars. I think it was last week, 2 weeks ago now. We are in the process of putting one of the recordings online, so you can view that. It's just about 25 minutes of kind of walking through and how to log in and some different questions that were asked. This does change. This should be northdakota.cognito.com. I'm in the process of having our media specialist change that. But we do kind of already have a list of frequently asked questions that we've come up with. We have some more to put on there. But I just wanted to highlight the additional resources that are available. We do have a student walkthrough PowerPoint, so you don't have to come up with this all on your own, and you can have that on your board. It is recommended that each student complete the module themselves within their own computer. But then we would want maybe some extension activities or something as a whole class, just to kind of build up upon that. But I know we had some questions about, well, can the whole class just do it as one? It's just really not recommended because it is so personalized. So we do have a parent letter if you're interested in sending something out. There's a generic one that you can modify to just let parents know what's happening. And parents can actually go in the same way that teachers and students can and select parent, and they can actually preview those 5 friend-to-friend modules. So if they're kind of curious what that might be about or want to do some home extension activities, they are able to do that. But like I said, they do have a PowerPoint and curriculum guide for each of those 5 modules. So you can kind of pick and choose what's going to work for you, and then kind of go from there. So you as staff also are able to preview these through your own Cognito login. So normally you would see your at-risk ones, but if you scroll down and go to the next page, you'll be able to review all 5. And so you don't get to do that same kind of virtual walkthrough with that peer, but you can at least see what the content is and what some of the resources are. And, you know, as you're kind of thinking about this and how do I track, you know, if students have done it, things like that, just like the staff module, they will get a certificate after completing. And so if you're having maybe your health class or something do one of these, you can ask them all to download that certificate, and that would be your proof of attendance or completion, I should say. You are not able to see in real time, you know, where your students are. That's pretty separate, but that certificate is just kind of the best way to keep track of what's happened and what hasn't. So I will stop sharing, or I don't even know, was I sharing?
Well, I don't think you got to the website. We were on the PowerPoint, but
well, maybe I shouldn't have talked so fast.
I know, I tried to get in there, but no. It's fine. Oh, there it is. We see it now.
So, you know, this is your at-risk thing modules. If you scroll down, that's where you can see the review versions of those. And then hopefully if I go to another tab, that doesn't change anything. Okay, there it is. And then here is just some of those additional resources that you can use to kind of go along with it. So now I'll stop sharing again.
Yeah, I was kind of wondering how long each one is, and I think I saw it was like 45 minutes, so kind of like a class period length.
Yeah, the hope is, you know, if a student is just clicking through, it might only be a half hour. But if they're really taking their time and trying to kind of think about their responses, it could take a class period. And I know kind of for your guys as, you know, as counselors, they do recommend that when students are completing these, that there's just access to somebody, you know, in case a student is working through a module and maybe it kind of brings up some feelings of something
Mhm.
that's maybe happened before, they do recommend just making sure that somebody knows that this is happening in that class period and that there's a trusted adult available should a student just need to step out and have a little bit of one-on-one time.
So maybe, even if they work on them independently, you maybe could still have time at the end to talk about it as a group or.
Oh, absolutely. And you could, with their extension activities, you could make it, several class periods. You could, kind of do it as a tier one, everyone does the modules, and maybe some of your tier two, tier three do that curriculum guide maybe in a social skills class or something like that. That's also something that could be done to just help individualize even more.
And I think you said this, but this is free as well?
Free, yes, free to any 6th through 12th grader in North Dakota, public, private school, doesn't matter. And if you're kind of looking through this and thinking, how do I want to implement this within my school setting, maybe Cognito is willing, as well as Be Hero, to help with any kind of implementation support. And so if you take this back and you're talking to your administrator and you maybe think that you want to do a school-wide rollout in some way, shape, or form, just kind of let me know. I'll put my email in the chat afterward, but I can get that set up. They've worked with schools all across the country as to, getting this set up with what fits with the school.
Great. Does anybody else have any questions for Kayla?
Kayla, I'm just kind of wondering, will this be available through next school year as well?
Yes, we signed a 2-year contract. So we do have this through 2025. And so, we already have some schools that say, I don't know if we can fit it in effectively this year, but I think we really want to bring it into our curriculum next year. And that's something that can definitely be done.
Great, thank you.
Yeah.
All right. Well, and Kayla put.
Yep, I was going to say, I just put my email in there. And so if you have any questions, if you're looking through it later and something doesn't feel right or make sense, just feel free to reach out and we'll get you whatever help we can.
Perfect. Thank you, Kayla. Sounds like a great
Yes.
resource.
Thank you for letting me come on.
Yes. All right, Mallory, we'll move on over to you. You can introduce yourself, and if you have anything you want to share, you can share the screen.
Okay, thank you for having me. I think I've emailed things to Robin Lang that she's forwarded before, but I've never spoke to this group. So thanks for having me. My name is Mallory Sattler. I am the Domestic Violence Rape Crisis Program Coordinator with the Department of Health and Human Services. I'm in the Healthy and Safe Communities section. So I'm with other programs like Women's Way, diabetes prevention, stroke, family planning. So some of those other state programs. So in this role, I manage a number of state and federal grants that go to the domestic violence rape crisis agencies around the state. I am going to share my screen here. So I just wanted to pull that up just in case not everyone knew about those agencies. So there's 20 domestic violence rape crisis agencies around the state. And so this map shows where they're located. And then it also has their crisis line number and contact information. Those agencies provide emergency shelter, protection order assistance, advocacy, counseling, support group, community response, and a variety of violence intervention services. These agencies are all a member of CAUSE North Dakota, which is the state domestic violence sexual assault coalition. And we partner very closely with them. So, if you ever have questions about other prevention or intervention services, they would be a good contact. So I don't provide direct services, but I do provide funding to these agencies to do direct services. And one of those services is prevention. One of my particular grants is the Rape Prevention and Education Grant from CDC, and it focuses on primary prevention. So that's preventing violence before it occurs. So not dealing with the aftermath, but changing attitudes and behaviors so we can prevent the violence before it happens. So I work with the crisis centers to identify prevention programming to do in schools and then community outreach on prevention. So Mandy had asked me to talk about safe dates today. And just gonna try to fix my screen here. Okay. So Safe Dates is an evidence-based dating violence prevention program for students in middle and high school, so grades 8 through 12. Its goals are to raise awareness of what a healthy relationship looks like, as opposed to an abusive dating violence or abusive dating relationship. It builds awareness of dating violence and the causes and consequences. It equips students with the skills and resources to help themselves or a friend in an abusive relationship. And it equips with the skills to increase understanding of consent, healthy relationships, positive communication, and conflict resolution. The program consists of 5 components, and these are what really make the program effective. So it is recommended to do all these pieces. It's a 10-session curriculum. Each session is about 50 minutes. It includes a play on dating abuse, which is about 45 minutes, and it's recommended you have the students do the play and then consider doing it school-wide, so it really shows that the school is supportive of dating violence prevention. There's a media contest asking students to create posters, public service announcements, social media posts, and then even having the students vote on the best messaging. And then it can be expanded to the community too. Family materials, including discussion guides. Engaging parents in this is important because we know students don't just live in a bubble at school, they go home out into their communities, and so having parents support that. And then it has pre and post tests as part of evaluation. It's very interactive. There's lots of role playing. It's fun. There's different scenarios to play through. There are ways to combine the sessions into 6 or 4 session program if you can't do all 10. So it has instructions on which sessions to combine to make it most effective. So it is recommended you do all the pieces of the program, but you can customize it based on your school needs. And so I always equate it to like, this is the recipe for a cake, and these are all the ingredients you need. You could choose to omit some ingredients or use less of one ingredient or more of one ingredient. You still might end up with a cake, but it just might not be the cake that the recipe said if you're not following the instructions or the fidelity of the program. So the curriculum is available on Hazelden Publishing, and I'll drop all these links in the chat when I'm done talking, but it's been revised a few times now. They're on to the 3rd edition. It's $395, which is actually pretty cheap when you look at some of the other prevention programs that I'll show you in a little bit. It's one of the more popular programs that we see being done by the rape crisis centers in the state, just because you don't have to go through a train the trainer. It's not super expensive, and so you pick up the book. It has the instructions on how you implement it. It has the handouts. It comes with a flash drive to print your handouts. So it's just an easy one to pick up. I don't have the full list of schools implementing in the state because I don't fund everyone to do it, but I do know that Medina, the Grafton area, Minto, Valley City, Lisbon, I think the Devils Lake area, some of the schools are doing the program, maybe not the full 10 sessions, but shorter sessions. So if you are interested, you could reach out to me and I could connect you with another person doing the program. I like to connect folks so that if they start implementing it, they can ask like, how did you do this part? Like what worked for you? I'm kind of struggling with this. So we're all about connecting on similar programming. But I do want to add that if since sexual violence and sexual assault are sensitive topics, we all know that. And since providing these types of programs often leads to disclosures. I've heard it from many of the crisis centers when they've gone into the schools and talked about dating violence. They often get someone coming up at the end and saying they know someone or they're experiencing the violence. And so we really encourage, if you're going to start implementing this program, to reach out to the Domestic Violence Rape Crisis Agency in your community, to let them know, even ask them to co-present with you, so that you would know who the advocate is if you do have a disclosure, because they can provide services for dating violence. And so it's always better to have that after the fact than, oh, we did this program and we have all these disclosures and now we have folks to send your way. So I'll send this link to the crisis centers with the chat after this too. So Safe Dates is not the only evidence-based dating violence or sexual violence prevention program out there. And so I'd like to briefly just talk about a few others and resources for prevention professionals in the state. So through my work with the Rape Prevention Education Grant, I've over the years curated some resources for sexual violence and dating violence prevention. And it's more so for prevention professionals, so folks doing the work. It's not so much for parents or the general public. It's for the folks I'm working with that are going out and doing prevention. And so this is the toolkit. You can see there's a table of contents, talks about what prevention is. It has some facts. If you're interested, there's a place to click here to get prevention updates. I send a monthly email with prevention resources, any prevention updates, things like that. So you can always sign up for that. But I will take you to prevention strategies and programs, which you're probably most interested in. So the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention has developed some technical packages to help communities prevent violence. And so they pull together some strategies to help sharpen communities' focus. So they're not trying to figure out what works. This is what CDC has seen work in different communities. So there's several technical packages. I have 2 of them included on here. One is Stop SV, so Stop Sexual Violence, and the other is Preventing Intimate Partner Violence Across the Lifespan, which includes dating violence. So if you click on these, it gives you the whole technical package. But if you scroll down here, these are screenshots of showing what strategies CDC has seen work to stop sexual violence, and then it breaks it down by approaches. So one strategy is teaching skills to prevent sexual violence, and there's different approaches to do that. So teaching healthy dating, teaching healthy relationships, healthy sexuality, social emotional learning, and then preventing IPV, which is where dating violence would fall into. It has similar approaches. So there's overlap between preventing sexual violence and intimate partner violence. So going a step further, there's the strategy, there's the approach, then there's programs. And so I pulled a few out of the programs out of the technical package and included links to those programs. And so you'll see Safe Dates is further down the list, but a few other ones that are happening in the state are Athletes as Leaders and Coaching Boys into Men. Those are coaches. The coaches deliver that prevention programming, and it's for high school athletic teams. So Athletes as Leaders is for girls, Coaching Boys into Men is for boys, and the coaches deliver, they have like talking cards. So it's just little conversations, during practice about healthy relationships or respect and different topics like that. Another one that's related to Safe Dates is Dating Matters. Safe Dates is actually a component of Dating Matters. CDC had seen that Safe Dates was doing well, but most communities were giving it in one grade and then they're done. Dating Matters recommends curriculum at multiple grade levels, and then it also includes some policy pieces, some education for parents and things. So it's a very comprehensive program. It's really wrapping the whole school and student and everyone in prevention messaging. And so if you want to go a step further than Safe Dates, there's Dating Matters. That one is free. I should say Coaching Boys into Men and Athletes as Leaders are free, I think, too. There might just be a little cost to get the materials. Bringing in the Bystander, that one is a little more expensive. I don't remember the cost offhand, but that one you actually have to get trained and buy the curriculum. And that's teaching folks to intervene if they see a situation. And those are the main ones that are going on in North Dakota. I guess I know some schools are doing Second Step, and that's delivered by the teachers, not by the crisis center folks. And then the 4th-R, I think, is going on in a few schools too. And that one is, it's a school-based program with different sessions, kind of like Safe Dates. So that is the toolkit with some prevention programs. So you can take a look at that. And if you have questions on certain curriculums, I can chat with you about that. Again, I'm not the one going out and doing the curriculums, but I'm just providing the resources for schools or crisis centers or any prevention professionals to pick them up and take them and do them if they want. So any questions for me?
Do you have like an ideal age that you would do the Safe Dates curriculum with?
Well, it says 8 to 12. I think it really kind of depends on the school, and you'd have to look through the curriculum and get a feel where it would be appropriate. What I've heard in some of the schools that have been doing not Safe Dates, but a similar curriculum, like the city schools, they could do them at a younger age, and the rural schools, they would do it at an older age. So I think it really depends on the school.
Okay. Does anybody else have any questions for Mallory? All right. Well, thank you so much, Mallory. And
Thank you.
like she said, she has a newsletter you can sign up for too on the website. So
And I'll put the links in the chat for everyone.
perfect. Thank you.
Yep.
All right. I see Melissa logged in here. I was a little worried, but there she is.
Rolled right in time, Mandy, with 5 minutes to spare into Kenora, Saskatchewan, Canada.
You can disregard my email going, are you
I
coming?
saw it. Thanks for the link quick,
Okay.
because otherwise I'd have been searching through all the emails
Okay,
for
good.
the right link. You
Good.
saved me at least 2 minutes.
Perfect, perfect. All right, I made you co-host, or should I make Rochelle co-host, or one of you?
Oh, I would give all the power to Rochelle for sure.
Okay.
Yeah. She's the one with the PowerPoint.
I am the
All
one
right.
with the PowerPoint.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for having me today. Me and my compadre, Rochelle. Mandy, can we just go ahead and start?
Yep, go right ahead.
Awesome. So again, thanks for having me. My name is Melissa Spelchin. I work for the Central Regional Education Association. And this is my colleague, Rochelle Stans.
Hi, everybody. I'm just getting our PowerPoint running up here. 1 second.
Cool. Can I talk a little bit about myself and our work?
Yes, please.
Okay, we'll do that. My role at CREA, everybody, is to do everything and anything I can to keep kids out of the juvenile justice system. All of my education, including my PhD, is in criminal justice. And so that is what Luke Schaefer has tasked me with. My title is Healthy Youth Community and Social Service Specialist. And I've probably been working with CREA and Stop It together with our collaboration for 2 solid years now, and have known Rochelle that long. And we have spent more than just Zoom time together. We've physically been in the same room and shared some good food and some good drink. and some good conversation about school wellness and what we need to do in the state of North Dakota to improve that. And I'm a huge proponent of the services that Rochelle's going to talk about, hence why I am the liaison between CREA and Stop It. And so if you have any specific questions throughout this presentation regarding what's going on in North Dakota, you can ask me with Rochelle's help. And then I'm going to kick it to Rochelle to get started.
Perfect. Thank you, Melissa. First of all, can everybody see my screen okay?
I'm going to give you a thumbs up.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
I see you right now. I don't see a PowerPoint.
Oh, you don't see a PowerPoint?
No, I see you.
Okay, 1 second. How about now?
Oh, I see it all now. Good.
Okay, fantastic. So Melissa jumped into a little bit of why she is here. So I'm going to jump into why I'm here today. So it's so great to see all of you or to meet all of you, since I know we have a lot of screens closed. Totally understand, very Zoom fatigued out. But we're here to talk about support and resources for North Dakota K-12 schools. And I wanted to share a little bit about why I'm here in terms of my professional background. So I am the Director of Partner Relations and Marketing here at Stop It Solutions. And I'm here today because I care about helping and saving the lives of youth, particularly at-risk youth. I come from a nonprofit background working with organizations such as Net Impact and Sandy Hook Promise, which you may or may not be familiar with. And the overall mission is to create social and environmental impact. So very thankful and happy to have Dr. Melissa Spelchin as my partner in crime in North Dakota on the ground, working with these school districts. And we're excited to be here. So if you've never heard of Stop It before, Stop It is an organization focused on providing comprehensive safety and mental wellness solutions to workplaces and educational facilities nationwide. We accomplish this by providing enterprise class safety solutions and programs designed by educators and built by us to identify and intervene in those displaying at-risk behaviors, supporting our partners and customers with an industry-leading team and 24/7 customer support and incident response center, and also offering wellness training and SEL curriculum to provide resources to students, parents, and staff. In terms of where we are today, nationally, Stop It is in more than 7,000 schools, reaching roughly 4 million students. Our top reporting states are Texas, California, and New Jersey, but again, we hope to add North Dakota to that top list. Through this network, more than 200,000 incidents have been reported to date, with 300,000 anonymous messages being sent between administrators and tipsters in real time. We've received nearly 30,000 serious incidents or incidents of a potentially life-threatening nature and aided in almost 2,000 direct emergency situations.
Rochelle, I'm just going to talk a little bit
Go ahead.
about, I guess, my extended connection to Stop It Solutions. So Stop It Solutions was created as a result of a young woman in Canada named Amanda Todd, who died by suicide. That's probably about 10 years ago. Amanda was extorted after she showed her breasts in a, I don't know, hidden blog or whatever. I'm not on any social media, so I don't understand that world, but a terrible world that she was in. And then she was extorted after that to the point where she created a video that's on YouTube, and many of you have probably seen that. It's a black and white video where she has signs and she's flipping them, talking about how distraught she is. And then sadly, again, died by suicide. And so Stop It Solutions originally was created based off of that death, with the fact that there were a lot of people who knew kind of what was going on, but not a lot of communication to try and get her help. And so her mother, and Rochelle, correct me if I'm wrong, her mother is on the board of directors and is an influencer with the kinds of things that Stop It Solutions tries to provide. But I just wanted to give you all a little context. And I highly recommend watching that video. It obviously tugs at your heartstrings for sure. But I want you to know where Stop It came from.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Melissa.
Rochelle.
Thank you. So now that you know a little bit more about who we are and where we are nationally, I want to talk about where we are in North Dakota. So today we're spread across the state in about 61 districts, servicing nearly 40,000 students. We hope to continue growing this number and perhaps through your assistance, reach even more North Dakota students that may be in need. Of the reports we've received so far in North Dakota, the top 5 incident categories include bullying, harassment and intimidation, and general concerns, alcohol and drug use, and inappropriate conduct. These incidents are followed closely by reports involving abuse, fights and assaults, cutting and self-harm, suicidal ideation, and sexual misconduct, among other concerning reports such as weapons and vandalism. So again, all of these reports are self-reported. So typically when a report comes in, it's I, Rochelle, am worried about my friend, Dr. Melissa Spelchin. So I'm going to send in a report about my friend. Hopefully they get help. But oftentimes too, it could also be a first party reporter. So I'm getting bullied and I need help and assistance, but I don't feel comfortable coming forward and stating my, my predicament in person for fear of retribution or fear that my peers are going to get me in even more trouble. So just something to keep in mind. And I'll talk a little bit more about why this reporting is so important later on in the presentation, but all of our schools have access to this data in real time, 24/7. So at any time, if you want to pull a report and be able to see it, you have the same access to this information. So when an incident is received through the Stop It Anonymous reporting program, it is categorized as either life-threatening or non-life-threatening, depending on that incident category. And we just saw some of what those incident categories look like. Life-threatening means immediate or imminent harm to oneself or others. To date, we've received almost 100 life-threatening incidents in the state of North Dakota and nearly 900 non-life-threatening incidents. So roughly 10% of all reports we receive in the state are considered life-threatening. Of those reports that are considered life-threatening, 32% were attributed to cutting and self-harm and suicidal ideation. Now, I'm sure it's no surprise to you in your line of work, but we have seen a continued increase in these categories, self-harm and mental health related categories, since the beginning of the COVID-19 pandemic, and it's continued. So now that you have a little bit of an overview about the data that we're seeing coming through the state, I want to jump into what the programs are that we're currently offering through our partnership with CREA. So Stop It has partnered with CREA to provide both the Stop It Anonymous Reporting System, our flagship program, as well as our Help Me program to North Dakota K-12 school districts at no cost. These programs are fully funded through grant partnerships. Both of these programs provide 3 ways to access help via our mobile app, which is the #1 way most students will report, our web app, and our 24/7 telephone hotline. Both programs are also connected to Crisis Text Line. We are the only anonymous reporting program to be directly integrated with Crisis Text Line. And I'll jump into what CTL, Crisis Text Line, is in just a minute. There's also the ability to have one-to-one anonymous messaging via both platforms. So this is really important, particularly with kids, like we said earlier in my example, that don't feel comfortable coming in person to anonymously report something. They can have that one-to-one conversation with a school selected response team directly through the app. Both programs also come with cloud-based incident inquiry management system. So very, very easy to log into, see all the incidents or requests for help that might be coming through, categorize them, following up with the student, running those reports that I was talking about earlier, all included in the same administrator portal. We also have a 24/7, 365, always on certified crisis center. So these are agents that are trained in the American Association of Suicidology, Johns Hopkins University, among some other trainings and courses and curriculum, where they are on 24/7. So if an incident comes through after school hours, or maybe you might be contracted through your districts and you're not able to work past certain hours, we do have 24/7 crisis counselors able to respond.
Rochelle, I just wanna.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, you had said, obviously, there's a collaboration with CREA to provide funding for this, so I just want to be clear, this is free. This is free to our schools, free through 2024, and there is They're working on an extension grant right now. And obviously you saw we have 61 districts and 37,000 students that are involved right now. Tough to say no to that. So again, free till 2024 school year, end of 2024 school year, with the hopes of an extension through to 2026. Thanks, Rochelle.
Thank you. We talked a little bit about having that robust admin reporting. That's really going to be important at the end of a program cycle or at the end of a school year to go back to your district administrative teams before they're putting together their budgets and say, hey, this is where we need the most help. And I have the data to back that up. Here are these reports to show you. In addition to a resource repository. So what we recognized during COVID was that schools really became the all-in-one information center for local communities. And so being able to send resources directly to students and parents via an easy way, an app, just makes it a lot easier for students and parents to get the help or questions they need answered, all while keeping it in one single place. So today, I know we talked about our anonymous reporting system and Help Me. Today, I'm going to focus on the Help Me program because I think this program makes the most sense for you all as North Dakota counselors. So what is Help Me? Help Me is an app-based program that allows schools to provide 3 ways to help someone. The first being through self-help, so a student can click on Get Help Resources. The second being through help through a crisis counselor or through crisis text line. And the third being direct help from school response teams or through the Get Help button. And this is kind of what it looks like. Every school will have their own personal logo at the top. So why would you want to invest in Help Me, or why would a school want to use Help Me? Well, through the incidents that we received through the anonymous reporting system before we created the Help Me program, we realized that many reporters were looking for resources or direct help from their school site teams. Help Me helps build agency and increases trust in the school community by allowing individuals to receive the help they need in the way that they want it. The Help Me program comes with preloaded state and federal resources and the ability to have school site teams provide community-specific information directly in the app. Additionally, schools have the availability to add e-therapy or teletherapy assessments and counseling treatments, which I'll cover in a little more detail later. Finally, no school program is complete without the ability to back up its effectiveness through that robust reporting. So Help Me allows school response teams to easily download reports to see how many incidents might be coming through the program, through what medium they're coming through the program. Is it through the mobile app, the web app, or the 24/7 hotline? And what resources are being the most accessed? This is particularly important when you think about maybe you have students on the McKinney-Vento program, or different Title I classifications. Being able to see what families and students are clicking on in terms of what resources they need the most will help inform your future decisions when you're planning for the next school year. Is anybody familiar with Crisis Text Line? I know I'm making this a little bit interactive. We've never heard of it? Okay, well, I'm going to explain a little bit about what it is. So Crisis Text Line is a national nonprofit network. So it's its own national nonprofit that is available for trained crisis counselor volunteers to respond to text message interactions 24/7 from anywhere. Stop It wanted to integrate with them because, again, we saw that there were kids that might be in help or in need of help in immediate crisis, maybe after school hours when you are not available. And so being able to initiate a conversation with a trained crisis counselor via text is so much easier for a student than perhaps maybe going in person or waiting until the next school day to talk to you. So the crisis counselors will work with the tipster to understand their feelings. Usually they'll try to end the conversations in a good place. Very rarely, if they're talking to somebody and it looks like that person might be in way of harming themselves or harming someone else, they can request an IP address, but that is handled completely through Crisis Text Line. But most of the time, they just want to keep listening and refer them to resources where they can get help. So whether that's through local emergency services or elsewise, that's kind of how it works. So it's very similar to the old 1-800 national suicide prevention hotline, but via texting. And I know I talked about earlier, Stop It has a 24/7 incident response center. So one of the, key differences of our program perhaps than other programs is that there's going to be a trained certified agent monitoring all reports as they're coming in during the school day and outside of the school day. We also partner when we load and launch our school districts and our partners, we have the 911 dispatch number. So if there is an immediate emergency, either during school or after school hours, we'll work with the school site teams before potentially contacting law enforcement or working with law enforcement directly to get that tipster help that they need when they need it. And I mentioned that they were trained from the school suicide prevention, from the American Association of Suicidology, Johns Hopkins. They also have USA mental health first aid training and crisis management training from Relias Learning. So I'm a visual person. I don't know about you all, but I like to see how things kind of work in tandem from the top down. So let's say somebody wants to submit a report. They look for their school on the Stop It or Help Me program app. They click submit a report. That report then goes directly to the school site teams and through our 24/7 emergency center. Once the school site team or once our center has noticed to see, is this a life-threatening event or a non-life-threatening event, we allow the school site teams to choose how that incident is managed, whether that's something that can be managed during that school day or the next school day, or something that needs to be intervened with emergency services. From there, the school site team has the ability to have that one-to-one, two-way anonymous chat with the tipster. Our incident response center can do that as well if it's after school hours, but typically we'll always try to initiate that conversation from the school site teams first, because at the end of the day, you know your kids best. So let's see it in action. So let's pretend we have our cell phones out and about and we're looking for our organization. So I'm going to go ahead and type in my search organization. Let's say it's our test account. So it's Help Me Test Nick. And then I'm going to click on either Get Resources, Crisis Text Line, or Help Me, or Get Help, excuse me. So in this example, I'm going to click on the Get Help button. I want to show you what this looks like if somebody was coming into your school team. So I need help. I'm going to click on Get Help, and I'm going to say that a person needs food. This list that you're seeing, we have listed, a person needs counseling, a person needs food, medical attention, shelter, transportation. All of this is completely configurable and customizable based on each school team. So it comes preloaded with a bunch of incident categories to choose from, but they can be shape-shifted and directed based on what is best for your school team. So in this example, we know that somebody needs food. In this incident, it asks, who needs help? How can we help? When or will this incident take place? And then please provide any additional information. So I'm a student who needs food. I say, I need food, but I don't have a stove or a microwave. Maybe I'm a student, maybe I'm a homeless student living in my car. I want to pick it up somewhere at the high school, but I want it to be done privately and not through a kid's backpack. So I know in a lot of districts, schools will partner with the elementary school districts or the junior school districts, as well as the high school districts for food and clothing resources. And as a high school student, they don't want to have to go, let's say to an elementary school to pick up their food. And what I think is the coolest part of this program is we ask, how can we help? So we're asking our students, what is the best way to help you? And the student asks to be contacted anonymously. They don't want to be listed out for other information. So in terms of what this looks like on the back end, so now that I've submitted a report, you on the school site team as a school counselor are able to have that one-to-one message with the student. You can say, sure, of course, thank you for letting us know. We can leave a paper bag of food at the reception desk every Friday. You can just come in and grab it. You don't need to say anything to anyone. Is that okay? And the student can reply, yes, thank you so much. Or maybe they can say something different. But you're able to have this one-to-one messaging with the student directly in the app. We do also offer SEL wellness and training curriculum, and all of these resources can be sent directly through the app, through the incident message itself, so that if a student needs help with cyberbullying or conflict resolution, you're able to send resources directly through the app as links. We train all of our students and admins in the Stop It platform, as well as through our SEL Learning Center. So the platform training includes videos, that are very easy to watch and train the students and launch the school. And the SEL curriculum follows the same pathway. The curriculum aligns to CASEL standards and is recommended for safety and wellness curriculum. You're able to track all the courses taken by the individual student, classroom, school, or district. And it all fosters personal growth, resilience, and protection of self or others. But again, being able to track all of that is really important and key when looking for more resources for the next school year. So teletherapy, I'm sure, during COVID-19, during the pandemic, we really changed how we get access to therapy or how we get access to certain mental health counseling. And teletherapy is one such avenue. So we know that mental health resources are stressed or even non-existent in many places. If a parent asks for help for their student using the "A Person Needs Counseling" button that we went through earlier, or a student acts out in any way where the school feels a mental health assessment might be needed immediately, we do partner with eTherapy, a teletherapy service provider, to access both assessments and long-term therapy options. There are other different types of therapy included, including occupational therapy, online physical therapy, speech therapy, but mental health and behavioral health is kind of the key bucket here. And the whole reason we offer it through the Help Me program is to assist our current counselors who might be overworked or overloaded, or maybe they just have a student who needs more long-term support. And again, this is included as a part of the Help Me program. I know that oftentimes when thinking about a new program, it can be daunting to think about what the setup and the launch might look like, which is why we try to keep it very simple and very easy. So to set up and configure the platform to the services that make the most sense for your local school district, the time requirement is only about 15 to 30 minutes. And that's where we kind of go through that list of options, see if there's anything you want to add, anything you may want to change or move to the top of the pile based on what you're seeing as immediate needs in your community. We train the school response team, which is typically a multidisciplinary team inclusive of you, the counselors, maybe the school nurse, an SRO, if there's an SRO on campus, and of course the administrators, the principal or vice principal, to be on that school response team. This training is a video. It takes 20 minutes, and it really just focuses on how to use the backend system and how the app works when a student submits a report. And then to actually train the students, that's actually what we call the launch day. And so training the students is we have a 27-minute video that focuses on what are knowing the warning signs for somebody who might be in need of help or somebody who might be exhibiting at-risk behavior. The majority of the presentation focuses on that. So what are these warning signs, given examples, and then the last part of the session actually shows how to download the app and then submit a report. But as we know, most kids don't need help with how to download an app, but they might need more help in how to submit an anonymous report. We do have a 24/7, 365 support team. So if you are working late or something comes up after hours and you need help, we do have a 24/7 chat team that you could talk to at any time. And of course, we have our incident response center that's 24/7, 365. So we'd like to say, nothing is going to get missed. Our current response time is 30 seconds. So all reports are opened and immediately starting to be worked on in 30 seconds by a certified incident response center specialist. And hopefully you liked what you heard today about the Help Me program. It's super easy to get started. All we need to do is schedule a personalized demonstration with your school safety team. At that point, you would just need to sign the Stop It MOU or agreement and then schedule onboarding and launch with the Stop It team. But I'll take a pause and say thank you and ask if there are any questions, or hopefully there's something you'd like to hear.
Rochelle, I just want you to talk just a little bit about Help Me and the fact that it assists the whole school community. So it involves the students, but it also might involve your fellow educators that are in need of assistance in some way and want to report that anonymously.
Of course. Yeah, no, of course. So Help Me can be accessed by anybody in the school community. So whether it's a parent looking for resources, it's a student, it's a staff member, anybody can use these resources at any time. Crisis text line has actually become a great avenue for staff that are looking for help after school hours. It's been used as part of like a district's mental wellness offering for their staff. So this is definitely something that can be accessed by anybody in the community at any time. And again, the whole point is just to connect the school community to the school response teams in one place so that somebody can get the help they need in the way they need it without maybe having to come and personally identify themselves. Good question. Any other questions? Any comments? Is this something that you think your school might need? I think everybody's on mute.
I'll keep talking and commenting. One thing that I know I saw in a previous presentation, I think by our colleague Matthew, is that with the Get Resources assistance, and thanks for talking specifically about a student who might need food. I love the setup where, not to be embarrassing in any way, where they might not want to go to a location that's close to that school can configure a way to have resources that are maybe within a 30-mile radius or a 40-mile radius, or a place that they could go where they might not know every single person in town when they're asking for a food basket.
Mhm.
So that configurable area is really, really neat for Get Resources.
Definitely. And it
Right,
can tie
so-
into, absolutely. And it can tie into whatever sort of resources you already have. So if you want to add the local food banks information in the GitHub
Shelters.
resources, you can do that. Maybe the local library. A lot of times the library can be a community hub for a lot of help. If there's any sort of food drive or clothing drives. I know in North Dakota, there's usually a coat drive at some point during the year because it's so cold. Whatever it might
Which
be.
you experienced, Rochelle, in January. and
I
Bismarck.
did.
Yeah.
I experienced
We're there.
negative temperatures for the first time in your great state. So it was definitely chilly, but it made me think about those students that might be homeless, or those students that, might be living in their cars, and it's really cold. So being able to have a way for students to ask for help anonymously and be connected to you, most importantly, as a school counselor, you're able to have that one-to-one connection right then and there.
And Melissa, you said this is free through the next school year?
Free, Mandy, free through the end of 2024.
Okay,
So if you want to get connected immediately, whoever is on the call, you can email me or Rochelle.
Mhm.
But I like to kind of be in the know with what's going on with our North Dakota school districts. And if you know of any other colleague in another school district that needs some of these services, just let us know.
And it's K through 12. So this can be elementary schools, junior high schools, high schools. It's not just for the high school students. Please let us know. And I'll make sure, Mandy, I provide all of the slides and the contact information to you afterwards so that you're able to send it out.
perfect. Thank you so much. Does
Thanks,
anybody-
Mandy. Thanks for your time. Rochelle, you nailed it. 30 minutes.
Thank you, everybody, for listening.
Thank you. Yeah, it sounds like a really wonderful resource for counselors. So if anybody has questions, you know how to reach them. So thank you so much.
Bye, everybody.
All right, we will sign off. Thanks, everyone.